We're Guardians. And Guardians don't flee. They fight.
What's up, YouTube? So, this article was released today, which I have linked in the description. It's talking about the way Destiny could have, or rather should have been, before it was released. Basically, he was allegedly able to talk to some current and former Bungie devs to get a sense of what Destiny could have been, and man, would it have been fucking epic. I'm not going to read the article word for word because it's really a good sized article, but I'm going to point out a lot of the highlights or key points. So, it starts off saying that the dev team, including Joe Staten, put together what they called a supercut, which is basically a 2-hour movie made of the, cinematics and major story beats, whatnot. Basically like what you see all over YouTube with the, game movies or whatever. Which, coincidentally, Vanilla Destiny never had. Long story short, the guys in the suits didn't like it, so they decided to scrap everything and redo it. So instead of having 3 years to build Destiny and its story, they essentially had 1 year, which totally explains why it was awful. Destiny's story went through several revisions before the reboot, but the Supercuts version revolved around the player's hunt for the Warmind Rasputin. And according to two people familiar with the original plans, in today's Destiny, Rasputin doesn't do much but listen to classical music in a steel bunker on Earth. But in the 2013 version, he would have had a much more prominent role. The Hive would have kidnapped the machine and brought him to the Dreadnought, which was supposed to be in Vanilla Destiny, but is now the center point of the Taken King. Originally, the Hive ship, the Dreadnought, would have been a part of the main story. The entire last third of the game took place on the Dreadnought, with you rescuing Rasputin. So, if you guys remember that picture from a long time ago, yeah, according to some devs, this is supposed to be Rasputin, or his body or puppet controlled by Rasputin, or whatever. The story would have also starred a character familiar to most everyone, which is Osiris, who was said to be a mentor living in an ancient Vex temple on Mercury, the Lighthouse. Although Osiris hasn't appeared in the game and doesn't seem like he's going to, we do have trials, so I guess that's the remnants of what we have left of Osiris to date. Which, groups of flawless victors in the trials of Osiris gain access to his temple on Mercury, which is, again, the Lighthouse, which was salvaged from the original story and reused, so that was actually possibly a story mission, and they scrapped it and used it for the Lighthouse. There you go. In the pre-reboot, or OG Destiny story, Osiris served as a guide for the main player. He had a robotic assistant whose model was, according to a source, scrapped and reused for another character called the Stranger. She wasn't the only character that was reused, because at E3 2013, Bungie played a Destiny gameplay trailer that showed what we believe is the Queen's brother pointing a gun at the player character. And back then, everyone theorized that he was the Crow. And based on pre-release screenshot of the mission, instructing the player to, quote-unquote, help the Crow loot the Academy archive, that theory was correct. In Destiny's original story, the Crow would have met the players in an early mission and worked with them to find Osiris. So basically, the Crow should have been Cayde 6, or the Cayde 6 that we have now. So then Bungie reused the Crow's model for the Awoken Queen's brother, Prince Uldren. They reuse the name in the current version of Destiny 2 because the Queen's army of spies are called the Crows, and Uldren is their boss, so I guess he's like the boss crow? I don't know, I guess. The pre-boot Destiny had way more of a focus on story than the actual game wound up having, which from what I've read, clearly that's evidently true. Story missions before the reboot always began with a communique from a character. They were 30 to 45 second cutscenes of the NPC setting up the story context or the mission context. Osiris announcing a dramatic discovery about the Vex and asking you to dig up ancient relics on Mars, or the Crow calling for help from the middle of a firefight with the Fallen on Venus, and then every mission ended with a full cutscene, 3 to 5 minutes. In the weeks after the reboot, I guess what they called the Iron Bar, with a team of designers and producers, came up with a new plan for Destiny. So basically they rescoped the game, cutting out the Dreadnought, moving it to the expansion, which back then was called Comet. They changed the order in which the players would progress between each planet, and they cut apart the story mission, splicing together encounters from a variety of old pieces to form the whatever you want to call it now. So basically they just took a hacksaw to it, cut it all the fuck up, and then they tried to like duct tape it back together, which was, I mean, I guess kudos for them for being able to put something together, because from this it sounds like it was just a fucking disaster, and they just basically shit on it and then cleaned the shit off and then tried to make something out of the remaining shit. But basically, you know, the design team basically had to restitch and repurpose everything. And the priority was, hey, we have to get a bunch of content that we spent millions of dollars on, and we need to cobble it together in a way that's not going to break continuity, and we've got to do it quickly. Which basically says, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. And of course, the casualties of this process included Osiris and Charlemagne, which was the artificial intelligence on Mars, who we still don't know anything about. And other characters like the Crow and Osiris's assistant were obviously rewritten and recycled, becoming obviously Prince Uldren and the Stranger. So the majority of the story missions actually shipped with Destiny. They were stitched together from the older ones. So you kind of got a taste of old Destiny, just missing all the relevant information. And to sum up the rest of the article, because this video is getting kind of long, is that all the stuff we have to date, we should have had in vanilla Destiny. But the suits, surprisingly not Activision, decided to destroy their own game that they worked on for 3 years and rebuild it in 1 year and give us a very poor game. It's sad, but it's the truth. We were supposed to get Europa, European Dead Zone. We were supposed to have Mars Strikes and a Mars Raid, which should have been what the Taken King was, and it turned out that they just repurposed a bunch of OG Destiny stuff and gave it to us. So, I mean, the Taken King's cool and all, but from what this sounds like, OG Destiny would have been a hell of a lot better, and could have potentially been one hell of a game. And I'm really sad that they decided to do that to Destiny, because that's, like I said, I was really stoked for what I had been seeing, and then what we got was totally not what we'd been seeing. So, anyways, what do you guys think? I wanted to get this out to you today. Read the rest of the article so you can get the smaller stuff. Like I said, I just touched on a few highlights throughout the article. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something. And thanks for watching. And as always, until next time.